we're trying something new here, and that is putting you in my way. The benefit is hopefully that you'll be able to see what the hell I'm doing. So for tonight, I'm bored. So we're going to pull apart this little 2001 IDE hard drive, and I suppose it could still be used, but it is quite a small hard drive. It's 10 gigabytes, which in the realm of things nowadays is not very much. Of course, there's a caution label here. It says, do not disassemble, modify, remove any labels, don't push in on the top cover, handle only by the sides or base, avoid giving a shock, don't cover the breathing hole, and rattle noise is normal. So we do have a rattle noise, which it says, excuse me, avoid giving a shock, so I'm assuming that this is probably a shock. So don't push in on the cover, huh? Not much to push in on, really. But there we go. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the label, because we were told not to. And yeah, what good is bye-bye. Alright, so nothing much about it. I'm just being a jerk. So it looks like we'll need a Phillips head screwdriver and a little tiny Torx, which I may or may not have. But fret not, for we shall get inside of this thing. It doesn't bother me any. You have to use things outside of their written intents. Hey, what do you know? That little Torx will do the job, and I could probably just get into them by hand because they're usually not all that tight. And sorry about the flickering there, because my light source is behind me, not above me. I'm probably going to run into some irritation here. So these are actually coming out pretty easily. I don't think I've taken this apart before, because I usually put a little X on them if I have taken them apart. And the only reason I would take them apart is to fix them, and there's not really much reason for me to have this particular type of hard drive anymore. I have several SATA drives that are spares. So yeah, no need for these. And I don't see any, actually I see an indentation there, so there may be a screw there, and there's one there as well. So we have to remove that label as well. Something manufacturers like to do is they like to hide stickers beneath labels, because nothing gives away your meddling like removing a sticker. So they really like to do that. And I'm going to meddle, so stickers are likely to be removed. There we go. So there's a fastener, another Torx, and I don't know what that is. It looks like that's probably a humidity sensor underneath of that. We'll be able to tell shortly. And I like to keep all the little tiny screws. Don't know why. I will never use them. Just an old habit, I guess. Alright, so for anybody who has never seen it, this is the inside of a hard drive, and what the camera that is filming this looks like, because that's very shiny. So we have some more Torx fasteners here. I don't know what most of this does, but I do know that this little arm reads and writes on the surface of the hard drive. There's a very strong magnet here, and there are a few other little parts and pieces in here that I will be able to identify once I get further inside of here. So let's see what we can do here. I may need a different Torx screwdriver. I do not. There's a wonderful set of little bitty magnets in these things that are really, really strong. Rare earth magnets. And if you take a lot of things apart like I do, they tend to be very useful as keeping stuff from flying off your desk. And here is one of those magnets right now. Sorry about the cough. There we go. There is a very strong rare earth magnet. And yeah. about an inch off the tabletop. It just sucked my Torx driver up there, which doesn't matter. These are magnetic anyway, so it's not like they prevent damage from anything. There's some pretty cool components in these. If you've never taken one apart, I recommend it just because, well, everybody should take things apart. It's good for you. And if you're just gonna throw it away anyway, you might as well learn from it. So that's always it's always my excuse anyways. Well, I'm learning from it. Whether I am or am not, the idea that I might certainly goes a long way. This cough is annoying. So we have a few more Torx screws that actually need to come out, and I have some damage to the side of my finger here. I don't know if you can see the nice little scar there, so it's a little bit tender, so I'm gonna pretend that it's not there and use the screwdriver handle because it makes it easier on my finger. It's not because I'm a wimp, it's because I'm wimpy. And my dog is barking, which probably means there is a deer standing in front of his kennel, which I will go check out right now. So give me just a second. Okay then, so we're back to taking stuff apart. I love this little sticker. I want to blow this thing up and make it a poster. Do not disassemble or modify. Yeah. One day, I will find something that I don't want to take apart. Sadly, today is just not that day. I mean, I just feel like taking something apart, and I don't usually, I didn't become an adult, so I had to listen to a sticker. Alright, and so this little pivot right here, focus, you piece of crap, it's focused on me. Hey. There we go. Alright, so this little pivot right here has a screw right here. So we're going to remove that so that that little arm assembly will come right on off. And put our little screw over here. And we've already taken the screws off this little board, so should be able to remove all these. I see a Phillips screw there. There's another one of those. Oh, actually, I don't think that's the magnet. Where'd the magnet go? I guess there's only one magnet in these little tiny ones. To be quite honest, I believe this may be the first one I've ever taken apart that was this small. So anyways, we'll pull that little board off. And you can see all the little contacts that allow this board to communicate with the outside of the hard drive. And they're little pins that go into little sockets, which is pretty neat. And this little guy, if I am not mistaken, see that little hole right there? That lets this thing know, which is just some sort of little mechanical sensor. Basically, either it got wet or it didn't. So I don't know if we can get it loose. Let's rephrase that. I know that we can get it loose. We just have to use a tool. That's all. So we just stick that in there and pop them loose. Alright, so this little guy, I'm going to say is probably a shock or humidity thing. I don't know. One day I'll have somebody explain all this stuff to me, and of course I've put fingerprints all over that, so if there was data on there, there ain't now. Never mind all the rough handling this poor little hard drive has had in its past. So for 10 gigabytes is stored on that little tiny disk. So I don't know what these discs are made out of, but they are very, very reflective. They feel almost like aluminum, and they bend rather easily and shatter. Actually, that's the first one I've ever had shatter. They usually bend really easily. So this one might be glass. Sure looks like it. Which is a good reason to have safety glasses on, which, as you can see, I do not. Anyways, moving on. That was interesting. I've never seen one of these made out of a... They're usually made out of some sort of metal, but this looks like it's actually made out of glass or some sort of very brittle plastic. Don't know. Very cool. Alright, so moving on. We have the little motor that actually the platen, which is what that disc was formerly called, would go on. So let's pull out a little Phillips screwdriver to pull these little guys off and see what else we got in this thing. And it is smaller than that, so let us see. My poor screwdrivers. They are not doing so well. I may not be able to get those off with these screwdrivers. I may need to buy a new screwdriver soon. Let's see if this guy will do it. Where all else fails. There we go. It just took some pressure. So that's one. That's two. And slipping right now would probably drive that screwdriver into my hand. That would be interesting to have on film, would it not? I mean, interesting for you, not for me. I don't really like seeing my blood. For some reason, it kind of makes me nervous. There's another one that wants to give me a hard time. Well, I thought I would be able to salvage this little board in one piece, but I'm not going to mess with it. It broke off a little bit anyways. So we have more communication here between the board and the hard drive itself. So these pins here would drive this little tiny motor. And these are the pins that communicated with the arm inside of the assembly. They would fit right and like so. They actually fit right in place there. A couple of cool looking little chips on here. None of which do I know what do. I'd like to learn though, so that would be some interesting stuff to know about. Anyways, there's the little read-write arm. Let's see if I can get a good shot on there where it talks to the board itself. Come on, you can focus, you can do it, camera, you can do it. Apparently the camera can't do it. So anyways, that little shiny part that you may or may not have seen. Oh my gosh, it almost did it. Those deer, oh my gosh, they're driving me nuts. Anyway, they're apparently driving my dog nuts too. He'd love to chase them. Anyways, moving on. Let's see what it is. We got a little gasket of some sort. Feels like foam. And it kind of feels like it's falling apart. Of course, this is a pretty old drive. I think it was 2001, 2002. Warranty void if seal is busted. Ain't that a shame. I think the warranty was already void a year or two ago. So let's pull this apart and see what we got under her. You know, I don't understand quite why the warranty would be void, because pulling this little seal off does not show me anything. In fact, from what I see, uh-oh, we have a little disc coming off here. So maybe it's going to allow us to get underneath this little motor. Maybe I can pull this motor out in one piece. That would be kind of neat. I think this is, I don't believe I've ever taken apart a little tiny drive. I've taken apart plenty of the big ones, which I can also do. They're not really all that fun though. They're kind of boring after a point. Though I suppose I could show more and learn a little bit more from them. There we go. We can pull that little disc off, and that doesn't do anything but show me a little bearing with a little bit of oil coming out of it too. I don't know if you can see my hand is greasy. So don't feel any fasteners. I can tell. So we're going to peel this little guy up. If I can, which I can. So it may not come up in one piece, but it'll come up. That is not a problem. Good. We'll start right there. There we go. Alright, so since that did not want to do anything, and I see absolutely no reason for the warranty to void, we're going to find a different way in. And I think that way may just be to push on that bearing. It looks like the outer race is just pushed into place. So let's see if I can push it out. So this is a little bit against the, this may void the warranty a little bit too. But I want to see that little motor. I also don't want to wake up my wife. She's sleeping. So that little thing does not want to come out. But I want to see it, man. That is some cool looking machining though. Having been through the machinist classes, I can see the machining marks on there. And I can tell that that was milled out with a little, very tiny end mill. That is some neat stuff. This was obviously cast though, with a few little spots milled. I can see the milling marks on there. Wow, that is pretty cool. So there's some milling marks there. Some right there as well. I don't know if you can see the circular mark. Let's put my head in the way. There's some little circular marks from somebody running a mill across there, which I'm sure that this is all automated, because there's a little pocket here too that has very, very obvious machining marks. You can see them going back and forth. That is kind of cool. Don't believe I ever noticed that before. Huh. One thing I'm a little confused about is what is with all these little plastic seals? They're there. They cover little screw holes. So that was where the interior components were screwed on. So those little seals cover them up. That's pretty cool. Clever, clever. Now this is an older drive though, so I think what I will do is I might film myself decontraptioning a newer drive so that we can take a look at that. In my bag of goodies here, I probably have at least one. Let's see what we got here. And I think that was a Toshiba, so I in fact got another Toshiba. So I don't know now because I took the sticker off. Where the hell is it? There we go, Toshiba. Toshiba. I kind of hate to take that apart though. How big are you? $160 gigabytes. Actually, I don't feel so bad about taking that apart. So I may take this little guy apart as well. It also says, do not remove any labels. Don't push on the top cover. The rattle noise is normal. Oh, it does make a noise. Handle only by sides of base. Avoid giving shock and do not cover the breathing hole. Now the breathing hole, I'm going to assume is that little guy right there. But there's one there too. I don't see anywhere else it could breathe from. So apparently you could suffocate your drive. Actually, I'm pretty sure that it's to, I don't know. I don't know why it needs to breathe. I guess I'll Google that and find out. Anyways, I may take this one apart too. We'll see. It's a neat looking gasket around here. Man, that isn't. They got pretty serious about their sealing. Apparently poured into place and then stuck onto the drive. Doesn't feel like rubber. Hard drives are pretty well made, man. I'm impressed. I'm not impressed with that though. They're usually made of metal. That is the first time I've ever seen one that was like made out of glass or something. Whatever. Now we're gonna try some editing, so maybe you guys don't have to listen to me blather on this whole time. So if this is 21 minutes and 23 seconds, I'm sorry. Hopefully it won't be.